Welcome back to the Hermetic Podcast. Last episode, we were discussing the life of Hadron, our regular guest, and we left off when he was talking about a potential recruitment to a secret society that seemed interested in super soldier type of programs. So, would you like to walk us through that?
All right, so we're in the part two where now the enemy side of this other vampire witch group, they were a super soldier group, but they saw themselves as the good guys. No society thinks they're the bad guys, right? I mean, no one actually says, I'm the evil one, or another one says, yeah, it doesn't work that way. Everyone believes there's a true cause, and the other guy's the bad guy. So when I do this part two, I've called him archetypically the Anubis guy. Okay, it's very weird, but there's a secret society super soldier program. These guys. Both sides are literally centuries ahead of our time in the technology that they have. So advanced, you could barely comprehend it. More advanced than Star Trek technology. If you want to kid a basis or Buck Rogers, they make that look like child's play. Now, I don't think they have warp drive or whatever floating in space, but how do I know? But they are multi-dimensional for sure. These are not three-dimensional societies. They go up a notch in the octaves, okay? They will appear to you third-dimensionally one way, but they can actually shift with another face. They may all have different identities in different ways. They can appear as a movie star. They can appear as a world leader. They jump in and out of reality, okay? They will appear in every century in documents and books. They rub elbows with our forefathers. It's scary how deep and impacted this reality goes. It's like Sasquatch level. You don't know what you're really you're looking at. It's something from another world, okay? That's what we're doing. We're dealing with extra-dimensional secret societies, okay? You know they exist. You talk about rumors. These people have homes and families on other dimensions, and they're going to invite you, but it's exhilarating. That's why you kind of
So,
stick to it. Oh, go ahead.
I'll present my opinion on this. I do believe that there are different groups that probably exist in different dimensions. I do believe that many of these groups have overlapping so called agendas and diverging ideas of how they want the world to run. But I also don't think that they're necessarily tied to the earth or whatever. But I think most of these groups are just groups of magic users that have just transcended reality. But that's just my whole take on it. Now, I don't know if I can prove that they exist or not, and I don't even know if a lot of them are actually living or not. But I could present my opinions for hours on this, whether and how I think these things work. But yeah, go ahead.
All right. So these are extra-dimensional, what I've learned, extra-dimensional compared to us, okay? And to wrap your mind around it, you can't understand it unless you join. And they keep it that way, all right? It's the same things that things appear in the sky, this isn't just conspiracy. This is our reality, okay? Get rid of the word conspiracy. It's just there, you know. So what it is that I know it's connected to UFO phenomenon. I know it's one and the same. There's a spiritual UFO phenomenon going on. These are extra-dimensional beings that have been here for centuries and centuries and centuries, thousands and thousands of years. Goes, I'm willing to say, goes into the Anunnaki Nephilim theory. You can transcend Sumerian mythology, transcend the Bible. It doesn't matter what you call them. Now, there's various varieties of beings, various secret societies on these levels. Again, these are not the same secret societies that you would join walking in a third-dimensional building, okay? Nothing like that. Not Uncle Joe becoming a Mason or anything like that. This has totally transcended that. And at the time, you don't know it, all right? But now, what happens is that I move on, okay? I hold on to this guy for a while. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let this go. I'm just going to see where it rides. Well, the thing is, I'm not try I don't want to do a bunch of classified information on there, but something went wrong, and I waited a long time, and I'm mad because you get called, hey, you're going to join this and join that. It wasn't a fruitcake operation. There's something real to it, but what it is, the more I believed it, the more closer it's coming. The more I'm skeptical, it just seems like the reality disappeared. That's what this is. You're tested about how real it is. But what's weird is, are secret societies from a higher dimension coming to get me, and or am I creating it? I've come to recent conclusions, just literally in the last year or two, that I think I was manifesting more than I realized.
Hmm.
Now let's go back to right before COVID. Okay, there was a schizophrenic I got to know. I'm just going to call his name James, and he lived in another state. I'm just not going to specify. I did not know he was schizophrenic, but I found him. I'm not going to tell you where I found him, but I got to know him. I talked to this guy for 5 years, had no clue. Then I later found out at the end he was schizophrenic. He was offered millions of dollars to help out and do. He had financial problems. He had major claims, major claims. Okay, he said that we all lived in like a simulation. He was outside this universe. Okay, fine. All right, I go with it. But what's weird is this guy, when he talked about stuff, I experienced things on my side. He claimed he knew a woman that's famous, and we got to talk on the internet. Don't know who that was. It could be some fruitcake, in Australia. That's not even this person. I put these fruitcake marble things together, but what's so weird is I was at a restaurant and I literally saw things typing to me on the screen. It was typing to me from that woman. And he says, "Oh yeah, she does that to me too." I'm like, "Okay." I look at the whole thing after I got away from that crazy operation. I said, "Well, wait a minute. If this guy was a cuckoo, how come it can manifest things outside my balcony when I did a ritual on this with a photograph of this real person? There was a really weird whirlwind that's banging, and it was supposed to be an extra dimensional being, kind of like a lizard or whatever." So the lizard theory started coming in about this is what this one was. I was like, okay, oh my gosh, I didn't know what to believe, but I'm going down the rabbit hole. Well, later on when it's all over and he had the wildest claims, the wildest. I won't even get into it because it will distract and you'll just laugh you just laugh your ass off rather than want to believe me. But when I came to the conclusion after it's over, I'm like, wait a minute. I manifested things because I believed, not because he did it.
I
I believed.
honestly, I honestly think that it was a crazy person who might have had a little bit of magic ability, and maybe you got together and you were working together either by accident or on purpose to make effects on physical reality. That's my take on it. I don't think all
Oh,
people who can do magic are necessarily sane, but obviously not all people who are insane can do magic. But I just think that
true.
that's an interesting thing to think about.
That's an angle, but the thing is, I'm showing consistency is it's based on what I believe as a magician is
Yeah.
what I'm drawing the consistency from, not whether I'm giving credit to these other people whether they're real or not,
Of
whether I'm
course.
hallucinating everything from the beginning, the grades or whatever. This is my manifestation, is what I'm telling all magicians. That when you initiate into yourself, you can create your own mythos and get lost in it. And it doesn't matter if anyone comprehends it or believes it or whatever. You know what you're seeing. Just make sure you analyze what you're seeing. Okay? You can overanalyze it where you can lock it back in a genie bottle and logic. See, that's the whole thing about this. As a magician, at least my kind of magic, I'm not a classified magician where you can put me in a category here and there. I know maybe with a role-playing game you probably think, oh, here's the title, but I'm just saying I'm telling you what I've experienced as a magician. Okay, I've experienced my own mythos. All other magicians create mythos. If you really, really, really get involved yourself, you will develop your own mythos. It happens to all magicians sooner or later. Now you can decide in the outer world, oh, I'm going to go with Aleister Crowley's mythos, or I like Lovecraft's mythology, or I like Greek mythology, or hey, I like Marvel comics, I'm gonna go with Doctor Strange, and just live under that shadow, whatever.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so where are we going with this whole James thing? Just curious. Like we've,
Well,
yeah, okay, go ahead.
well, we don't have to go anywhere, James. I'm just talking about a schizophrenic who had the power of suggestion that he believed in his world was real. And when I joined that world, I realized I was magically manifesting an extension of that into my world where I saw things happen. I don't give James credit for doing this. I give myself credit that this is what I manifest. I've discovered that my magic ability depends on what I believe is true, and logic can short circuit it and recategorize it. Not that there's anything wrong with logic. Like if I want to use my magic logically, it will approach logically. If I
Mm,
want to be illogic with it, it can be illogic. It doesn't have to obey rules. It's based on what I believe. That's
mm.
the whole story, the theme drawing through my life. Right now, I can go back and fill in the gaps. Oh, I've done this job and that job. You know, that not to bore anybody, but these are the magic parts of my life as I've evolved.
Of
Now,
course.
now I'm 57. Okay, and so this is what I have. My life is I'm documenting that my life has been a magic journey. That's why I sum it up, and that I bring things in and out of reality. And I'm sure, everyone does to a degree.
Oh
You
yes,
know,
yes, I believe that too. I believe that everybody does affect their own reality, and that reality probably operates on a feedback system. Yes, I think we can agree
as
on
a
that.
magician, you can go further than most people. That's the difference between a vampire and a normal person, a magician and a normal person. I think we all have vampire archetypes. We all have magic archetypes. A true magician wakes up to what they are. Anyone can be whatever you want. No one can tell you you're not. But a lot of bloodlines disappear in their folklore. If you can hold on to your folklore, you'll find out you're a magician. But we turn off our magician with Twinkies and Doritos and soda pop and forget about who we were,
Uh,
and now we're just living normal lives and forgetting that many people come from many magical heritages.
oh yeah, I've always found the idea of the whole processed food shutting down our pineal gland to be interesting. I don't buy into it, just straight up saying it. I think that it's more how we approach reality in the modern day that shuts us down, if anything. Like we rely on other people to tell us what to believe, and we don't really question reality that much, and it keeps a lot of people in a dormant state. At least that's my hypothesis on it. But I
I
don't know. I don't know. I don't know
I
if
personally
you.
think I personally think that the more natural you eat, now you can still eat a little junk food, but if you try to get high nutrition and eat more natural, at least to an 80% degree, you can wake up a lot of magic in yourself. It's just we're all magic. Every one of there's nobody that's not special. Okay, you go. There's magic bloodlines around the world in Africa. We can dedicate what I've learned from living with Africans and what they know about Africa about shape shifting. So, but this episode is more about me and
Oh
what I've
yeah.
experienced, and it's not about my ordinary life because that take up so much time. It's not even interesting. That's just my life. I'm giving you the magic highlights of where I've gone
Oh,
and
I don't
experienced.
necessarily agree that it wouldn't be interesting, but I see what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. No one has to know I did this job and I did this. That's not
I
important.
mean,
I'm putting the highlights of the magic of what my life's been about. That's what I think the episode's
well,
about.
yeah, yeah,
So
fair enough, fair enough. But it could be useful to kind of ground what you're doing and what you were doing in your
yeah,
mundane life at a
I
time.
just
But I'll let you, of course, I'll let you
yeah,
guide that
the
part of the
the
conversation
mundane's
now.
not important. I mean, and we don't even have to explain 10 minutes why it's not important. What I'm saying is, I've documented my life just like the way you wanted, where it's the magical highlights have gone on in my self-discovery, and um, now with this 3 AI, okay, you and I have done an experiment together. This wasn't the first time. We've done other experiments, and
Okay,
we did
let's.
experiments.
Okay,
Go ahead.
let's. All right. Before we get into experiments that we've done, let's lead up to it because this will come way out of left field for anybody who's not actually listening intently, which is probably not very many people after the 5 minute mark. So let's build this up. So As I've said before, this Hadron and I have actually been in a working relationship since 2010. He started off as my mentor, and I branched off into more ceremonial magic. But we still do occasionally do little projects together, especially around experiments. We try to see if we overlap our methods, if we could cause effects in reality. So a while back, we actually had this idea. What if we combined our spell work for a few weeks or a few months and see if we can create an anomaly in the sky that people can notice on a mass scale? So that's what we're. So with that build up, I'll let you take over it because this is kind of your show right now. So let's go into that.
So what we did is I, on the phone with you, decided, let's experiment. Let's just do something. Let's create like a virtual alien invasion where people will think it's aliens, okay? I wanted to prove my point with not only my experience with so-called aliens versus magic, I wanted to produce the theory myself. Let's produce a magic alien effect. Because I wanted to prove that the ether in our atmosphere is really a platform for demonstration. And it's not necessarily for something from out there where we think of third dimensional aliens, but I think our own unconscious and subconscious does projections, and I wanted to prove it. All mankind does it. I think far more than half of alien phenomena or UFO phenomena are from the collective unconscious and from the astral plane and the spirit plane. I think there are UFOs from third dimensional other so-called worlds,
Oh yes,
but
fair enough.
it's more layered than that.
Okay,
We're
fair enough.
thinking of very primitive.
Fair
So
enough. Fair enough. But what is
so
the effect
go
that
ahead.
we cause then, in your opinion?
I was getting to that. I was
Okay.
laying about, as you know, I'm laying a platform of explaining as we lead up to that, so no one misunderstands what we're doing versus the reality we're seeing.
Okay.
All right. So what I decided to do in experiment, as I was explaining the platform of why I'm doing the experiment, let's give them something to talk about. Let's give them something. And I said, it doesn't have to be spectacular, but I want the whole world to see it. It doesn't have to be super fireworks and effective, but I want the world to see it. The atlas or the 3-eye atlas did not exist until we put it into being.
And what
We
is the Three
projected
Eye
it.
Atlas? Just for people who don't watch the news, because a lot of people
Anyone
don't
can look it
anymore.
up. Anyone can look it up, and it depends on your opinion on what it is. Some say it's a comet. Some say it's a probe by extraterrestrials, and it behaves differently. It was supposedly coming to the Earth, and then now it's back on Jupiter. So it's a mind. It changes direction for a comet, but it has anomalies that actually something more to it. But so, but this is the thing that you and I made, and now when you look at it, they act like, oh, this 3AI Atlas or 3I Atlas, whatever, was always there. It's been there for 100,000 years. They act like it's always been there. They've always been documented. Yet you never even heard about it 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. You've only heard about it in 2025
So
onward.
I've got a really. I know that I seem like I might be derailing things, but I've got a question. It's an actually kind of interesting one. Do you think that we might have, assuming that this was indeed us, I'd like to lean towards yes. Do you think that we might have tapped into the Mandela effect somehow?
No. Oh, and speaking of the Mandela effect, that stuff didn't. And you people think I'm yanking your chain. The Mandela effect did not exist until I did an experiment back around
Oh, we can.
2007 or
Oh, nice,
2006
nice.
with another group. If you want to talk about that another time, we will.
Oh, of
But I
course.
talked about putting the multi-dimensional timelines together and merging together. The Mandela effect became a side effect. They
Okay.
started calling that, and it had nothing to do with Mandela. Mandela is just one person inside what people thought. Hey, wait a minute, we got two versions. But we'll turn to that
Um,
in another episode.
honestly, I think Mandela effect has a lot more to do with how time is structured, but that's a complicated. This isn't really me trying to explain my beliefs, so we go ahead.
So the bleeding effect into these parallel timelines didn't start until I started doing an experiment when I was with another group where we were emailing each other, and we did experiments together, and I led the way. Well, that was a story that lasted almost a year. Okay, and we did various hyperdimensional. We traveled in hyperspace doing experiments and rituals that we all did, and this is how we're able to contribute to events in the world. All right.
Sure.
But anyway, back to what you and I did. All right. I wanted to prove that let's get in somewhere where the whole world sees it. It doesn't have to be special effects. It doesn't have to produce a light show. I just want to do it. Next thing you know it, this thing starts to show up on the radar. They act like, oh, they've been documenting the whole time. It's like, no, you haven't. It's almost like they're like acting like it wasn't there. You all didn't have a title to it. This stuff was now when you go back, they act like it's always existed, but it hasn't. Nobody ever heard of it. This thing, and then all of a sudden it got a title last year, and that's that. And
Mm.
we produce an effect, and all of a sudden now consciousness has changed about its realization of it. And this is the stuff. See, it's all about hyperspace. In the Montauk project, they taught the kids on how to tap into hyperspace.
So,
They did ritual abuse, but they did it.
so I have a more interesting question, actually. This actually goes back to something that we skipped over in your previous video. Well, actually, technically, it would have been in this one. But you mentioned how you engage in vampirism, right? And we talked about Tim Riffat. So, I've got a question for you. Are you still aligned with that group? And if so, when did you, and if so, like, oh,
Uh,
when did you get started? And if not, when
okay.
did you leave?
Okay. I got started, and I also introduced you to it. I said, hey, you should jump on board.
Oh,
So we
yes.
both were part of a group where you tune in, you get on the internet and you type in this forums and stuff. And anyway, it's kind of hostile. But anyway, it's I did not agree with their format. Now
Mm.
I've got different breeds and initiations of vampirism. I don't come from one vampire. Um,
Okay, okay. So I do think that this was an interesting time in both of our lives because I'll share my opinion on who this guy was. I don't really think that he was an honest to God MI6 defector. I'm open to it, you never know. But what I do know is, at least in the early days, he was providing services that, although, in my opinion, he was ripping people off, they actually did provide actual utility, especially since we were building an egregore around what he called psychic warfare and vampirism. And it was honestly kind of a fascinating time, despite me not agreeing with what he does or even what I did, to be honest. But I think that it was a case of a dark magician with a really big ego and um, selling a story and some magical art items that just so happened to work. So that's my opinion on it. So,
yeah, my opinion is I think he's more legit, and I do think he's a defector, and I do believe most of his stories. But I do believe he was misguided and he has too much ill will, too much anger. But I can understand they tried to kill him. Right? He had a destructive mode. It just seems like he had a vendetta to turn a bunch of nobodies into vampires and go back after the powers that be and take over. But in his whole mythos, his idea of taking over means destroying everything, even destroying our Earth, destroying hot lava everywhere, apocalypse everywhere. And I was like, okay, who does he think is going to pay for his future services if our financial system is down? He accepts the almighty dollar, even though he's trying to, you know,
my honest
quench
to
reality.
my honest to God opinion is he actually never wanted that, and he was just trying to manipulate his clients into buying more services. But that's just my opinion.
Well, I think he's trying to do it out of anger, but I just think I would decide to make a wager against one guy about, and it came up to the election of Trump, versus someone else versus Hillary,
Yeah, it was
and
Hillary.
but yeah, and then so what it is that, but reality was also hanging in there. Now, what it is that we made a wager, but the wager was taken too seriously. I thought it was going to be more fun. They took it way too seriously, and reality started splitting. Where, but the thing is, even though I lost the election, I wasn't trying to be a liberal. I won the war because I was trying to prevent it from going disaster. They said Trump's going to win, and the world is going to go chaos. World War III is going to begin. Everything's going to be destroyed. We're all going to be underwater or under volcanic ash.
Oh yeah.
The
Oh yeah, I
virus,
agree. Dubious claims be
everything
dubious
was
from
on.
them.
Yeah, everything was going to be on fire. And I said, well, let's make a wager. Let's see which reality wins. So I won 85% of the bet that the apocalypse never came. And you can do it. If you put all your minds together, this stuff can happen because you know with your crystals, and I know with my crystals, damage can be done. People
Oh
can be
yeah,
killed.
I know the paradigm works. I'm just not sure how much of it was him versus us. And
Well, remember,
I don't pretend to understand how that entire thing works. I just know what I ended up being for like a long time. It wasn't the best. Um,
well,
but yeah.
well, I bought the. See, the thing is, I bought the crystals that turns you into an asshole. I bought them. The thing is, but the thing is, it also depends on where you want to drive. Like the ability to freedom to do what you want without consequences. It's an attractive feeling, and you got a lot of misguided people that were already angry buying the services.
So
Well, that's all it is. That you don't have to become what you're buying. I tried to use
so
it
I haven't
for neutrality of good.
I actually do have an interesting idea on how the crystals actually work. I'm a little bit skeptical that Tim Riffat was 100% just making these crystals and that they were worth the amount we paid for them. Now, I do think he might have done some rituals on them. What I think the power where I think the real power probably came from is our belief in it combined with something called the sunk cost fallacy. So I think that those two things came together and probably gave more power to the crystals than they would have ever had on their own, if I'm being totally
Well,
honest.
you and I had more success with crystals than other members because we were already we all
Well,
you and
I
I
mean,
both
think
descend from a
well,
mutant.
well, yeah. Obviously, I have a
Yeah.
background in hermeticism and chaos magic. I'm very well learned. Not to sound egoic, of course, I'm going to have
Well,
more success than them. And you have a lot of experience with
well,
radionics. Of course, you'll have more success. That's
no, I
obvious.
wouldn't even talk to that. Even when you knew less,
Oh yeah.
okay, you don't have to be. See, the thing is,
Well,
you're
even
going.
back then, we both
You
knew more than them. I'm just saying.
right. Well, let me explain this, okay?
Yeah.
You descend from a line of mutants. So do I.
Eh.
There's a story behind you. There is a mutation that happened in our fathers and our grandfathers, okay? It's there. That's another story. I already told my story, okay? How it happened, that's more conjecture, back to the gin theory. All right, so what I'm saying is we probably had more coming to the table than your average buyer, and we would probably took it to another success. In fact, I said that with these evil crystals, you can do one thing. It's the same thing as Doctor Strange. He used black magic for good. It's the same thing as Spawn. He used demonic power for good. That's where the theory goes. Rifat taught you have to use evil to fight evil. I taught, wait a minute, you're sitting on something. You can actually do neutral to good things. You don't always have to do bad things. That is not limited to bad. That's where I disagree with Rifat. He wanted to do bad, nothing good. And I said, no, you can't. You're not going to go around healing people, but you don't have to be a disaster monster wherever you will go. You may be a little toxic, but you can learn to control it, and we can try to learn how to do good things with it as long as weaponize it. That was my philosophy, and that's always will be my philosophy. Vampirism is a legitimate super soldier technology that has been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's one of the forms of ancient super soldier technology. That's what a vampire is supposed to be. A vampire can also be a god. I do believe that many gods
All
and
right.
many
All right.
mythologies were
So
vampires.
that's fine. So we covered that pretty well, I think, and like why we started and why we left. So I've got a question for you. Where do you see your practice going in the future? Because at the end of the day, we're all about self-development here and trying to learn about people's practices and, you know. So what are you think where are you thinking you're going from here?
Well, I do. I not only do I believe I'm immortal, I know I am, and I believe in the anti-aging process associated with vampirism
Yes,
and
cool.
dualism.
That's fine, but
Right.
what are we working on? What is
That's
our goal coming going forward
like
besides
what I'm saying. I'm staying my basis.
okay.
I'm establishing a base on where it's going.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm in the midst of explaining it. All right. So being an immortal, there's a goal to be immortal and to live long. And I have a 300-year goal, and I'm going to be alive 300 years. And my goal is to bring together all secret societies that come to a meeting table, and that's where the new world order is going to come. I want to know where we're going. I also want to make contact. I already have partial contact with the astral plane and the side, because I do have two jinn that I've had for a few years. They have demonstrated themselves, and they both have demonstrated themselves in UFOs. I have shifted the word not long ago. Let's bring more jinn together, because the jinn, extra-dimensional entities, this UFO community, is part of the New World Order. I want to bring all these layers together one day. I've had a goal for a long, long time to bring all these together and come to a meeting table. I do believe that world leaders and organizations are not going to listen to someone who's lived to only be 50, 60, 70 years old. But once I prove I've lived to be 300 years old, I think I'll be taken more seriously. And if I publish a book then, it's not just going to be anybody's book. This is going to say, this is an immortal's book.
So
So,
let's just get this out of the way. What is your method for immortality? You don't have to go through specifics. I just really want to keep the coherence here. So I'm
yeah.
guessing, so let's just get it out of the way. You're an alchemist, right? That's how
Yeah.
you claim, right?
Well,
Okay.
yeah, but I mean, you said what was the goal here? I'm trying to finish on
Yes,
something,
yes, but
right?
I'm trying to be precise
Yeah.
here. I'm not trying to derail anything or debunk anything because
Yeah.
I really take metaphysical claims seriously.
Yeah.
I don't
My,
necessarily buy into stuff that even I claim sometimes.
yeah.
However, I do want to try to keep it to a point where we can kind of logically say, okay, this is the case. What is the method behind it, even if we don't 100% describe every little bit of it?
Well,
So, alchemy, right?
so
Inner alchemy is like what
right.
you do, right?
Yeah. But let me tell you that I'm okay. Here's the deal. Okay, so if you're not wanting to derail, you got to let me finish here. Maybe you need to edit this part, but let me finish the process here. Okay. You're asking for a process, and I got to finish it.
Okay.
All right. All right. So hold on. All right, so when I'm trying to be immortal, the whole purpose of this is because the reason why world change does not happen is because no one is stepping forth to happening. There's a lot of secret societies that are just into themselves and abuse. I want to take it to another level of where an immortal can come forward and actually make this happen. I want to show a whole new dimension of possibility. Someone has to live long enough to do it. There's not someone who's going to be live to be 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay, so that's why it's very important I live to be 300 years old or longer, because that's the only kind of person that's going to make change within all religions and all secret societies. If you know what I mean, it
Of
starts
course.
to get messianic. But I'm not trying to claim that. I'm trying to say it takes. You have to reach to the next human potential for this to all work, to come together for everybody.
So,
Right now, let's talk about my method that you're
okay.
asking. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
So, I've got a question. Do you believe any other alchemist has possibly become immortal, like Fulcanelli, Bacillus
Sure.
Valentinus, Paracelsus?
Yeah, I think a couple of them are that, three or four. But the thing is,
So,
they're all within the.
a lot of them do talk about personal development, especially Paracelsus. No, why do you think he hasn't tried to do this if he's still alive? I'm just curious.
Well, here's the deal, because they have not been able to get together with secret societies to negotiate. There could
Okay.
also be the idea that someone can assassinate them to prove, you're not almighty, you're not all that. When an immortal really opens up on the scene, that can be a threat to a lot of governments, a lot of secret societies, the church. The church may just want to say, hey, if you're not Jesus Christ, screw you, you're dead. Unless you prove the supernatural, that you can withstand bullets and all that, no one's going to accept you. And maybe some of these alchemists don't want to go there. Maybe they don't want to be challenged, or they don't want to go to war with someone who doesn't want it to be public. So it's safer to stay, private. And are some of these extended masters, are they extra dimensional? Maybe. So, depends on where they extend.
Mm.
But it's not worth it to come forth, because you could go to war with people that don't want your glory or yourself to be present, because you're demonstrating a new level of reality for the human potential.
Fair
That's
enough.
why my living to be 300 years is very important. It's best to negotiate with the secret societies than be against them. So
Okay.
when you do that, you have to be very careful how you bring it together.
Okay, fair enough. I just wanted to get that out of the way before you go on to talk about the method, because these are questions that, quite frankly, anyone with any sort of skeptical mind should ask. I do think it is important to be skeptical, even if you buy into your own claims or someone else's. So that just getting that out of the way. Let's describe your method before signing off, because I think it's
Yeah.
been very productive.
So so when and as I go to the method before I do that, so the thing is I have to get protection from higher planes of existence like the jinn. I have to make sure they're on board before you go public, because if they're on board, I think they're also trying to create a new world order to bring their kind back out in the open without being in hiding. That's what they want, and I want to make sure I'm aligned with that force at the same time as I get older. So there's a lot of alignments that has to happen. Now my method for saying for being immortal, it's tested. It's not proven. I'm only 57. Okay, so how to do it is you eat good. You want to use ways to circulate deep breathing, orgone, tachyon energy, vampirism, scalar waves. There's all kinds of even paramagnetism, magnetism. There's different methods to do where the body needs other frequencies and energies to enhance itself. Plasma. Without that, you're only going to live an average life of 80, 90, 100 years old if you're lucky. Nutrition, maybe 110. But with these other forces, you can extend centuries, if not millenniums. The human body, I think there's a lot of secrets about the human body that can be activated when you merge your spirit and your physical together. That's how I view the ascension. Is the marriage, is the alchemical marriage of spirit and matter, and that's when alchemy comes in. Alchemy is not the merger. The alchemy is knowing how the body can handle the merger, because when you merge with your spirit, it can be very overwhelming for your immune system, for your nervous system. The body can't just handle a perfect merger. The plasma would burn your body alive. That's the reason why most people don't ascend. But you got to work on your alchemy to prepare for the marriage. That's the center of the secrets in alchemy. And there's an alchemical process. You have to make your biology stronger to handle the extra dimensional energies. So it's a mutual evolution. How do you toughen your body to extend up these energies? Because these energies can short circuit you. It can make your veins bust. Kundalini, if prematurely activated, it can really mess you up. But if you slowly activate it and go with the evolution of what your body can take, rather than trying to overwhelm the body, that's the secret of the ascension. It's knowing how to climb the energetic chain and encompass it into the body, where the body starts to become mutable with plasma. But if you just do it without like an evolution of time, you have to use decades of training, or else you're just going to mess yourself up if you think you can do it in 5 years.
Now, this is the kind of thing that I actually do want to get into more. This specific thing, because you are very much into the health and inner alchemy thing, and I like some of your ideas for longevity and possibly even reality manipulation. I believe that on the next episode, whether people agree with the stuff you're saying in this two-parter or not, I think that there's a lot of benefit that can be had if we describe even like some of your basic techniques next time. So that's what I would like to get into next time. It was nice having you on again. This has been the Hermetic Podcast, and I wish all of you a wonderful day.